Hello, everybody. Welcome to Career Networking 101, an Alumni Lunchtime webinar. I am Rachel Helms. I am one of the assistant directors here at MTSU Alumni Relations. Thank you for being here today. It is the first day of our annual Alumni Spring Showcase, which runs through the 19th. We love to show off all the amazing things that our students and faculty are doing on campus. So be sure to check out the list of events on mtalumni.com. Several are family friendly and they are free. So again, that's mtalumni.com and click on Spring Showcase. Just a few housekeeping notes. You are on mute. So please go ahead and drop any questions you might have in the chat as we go. We will be answering questions throughout the event, so don't be shy. We will try to get to everybody. But in case we don't, you are always welcome to email me. I'm at rachel.helms@mtsu.edu. I can forward it on to the appropriate person. So on to the show. Today we have Victoria, Sexton and Ayla Calvert, advisors from MTSU's Career Development Center. They're going to be talking about all the opportunities the center offers to alumni. Plus, we have some special alumni guests that have been invited to participate and to pass along tips and advice regarding networking for your career. Victoria, Ayla, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I just want to reiterate what Rachel said. We appreciate you guys being here and spending your lunchtime with us. We hope that this information that you guys receive, you can take and kind of transition throughout your career opportunities, or if you're doing a career change, all things career related. I am going to share just a quick little PowerPoint, a little bit about our services and how we can support you all as students. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome, awesome. Okay, so yes, I am Ayla Calvert. I am a career advisor in the Career Development Center here on campus. My colleague, Victoria Sexton, is also a career advisor. And then I have Jenny Bryan, who's our assistant director in the Career Development Center, as well as our awesome employers who are taking time out of their day to be here. So I won't take up too much of your time. I just want to make sure I'm giving you guys some relevant information. Oh, hopefully. Okay. So a little bit about our mission. If you were on campus and you had no idea who we are, or if we even existed, we do. We are in the KUC, the Keithley University Center, where those that have just recently graduated, that is where McCallie's is. We are up on the 3rd floor. But just a little bit about what we do is we just want to provide students and recent alum. We do service alumni, whether that's you graduated last year or you graduated 20 years ago. We are a free service for you all as alumni to utilize. We have tons of resources as far as resumes, helping you job search, talk about career changes. Again, anything relevant to career-related things, that is what we can help you with. This QR code will take you to our website, but if you just go to MTSU/career, you'll be able to find all that information as well. If you want to schedule an appointment or you still have access to navigate in your email, you can go to our website and there's going to be schedule an appointment button. Or you can just shoot us an email. We'll have our contact stuff at the end of this PowerPoint, and just shoot us an email and we will try to accommodate you and meet with you whenever we can. Just a little bit more about the career advising appointments is you will meet with the career advisor one-on-one and just talk about career and major exploration, right? So hopefully after today, we at least have convinced you to check out our website and get a little bit more information to help guide you throughout your career. But if you want to talk further, you are more than welcome to schedule an appointment with one of us. We also have a couple assessments that we can talk about that may be super helpful in kind of deciding on what career path may match your personality and your interest and all the things. We also have job searching strategies. They are all on our website between career shift, how to properly LinkedIn, how to create one of those, and network with professionals. We also can help you with mock interviews. We do tons and tons of interview assignments for current students, but we can also help you practice interviewing, especially if you haven't had an interview in a long time. Just kind of refreshing how to answer those questions and go throughout. And then if you decide to go to grad school or get your doctorate, we can help you with that application process as well. These are the NACE career competencies. So this is NACE stands for National Association of Colleges and Employers. These are just 8 critical skill sets that employers find they would like recent grads and current students to have, or at least be working towards. Now, our employers that are on today, they can definitely speak to this if they want to. But this is a survey that was sent out to employers and students, and these are the top 8 skills that employers are looking for, not necessarily be proficient at, but have students that are going towards those specific skill sets. And there's tons of more information on Google about all of these things. We also have a really cool document drop. This is where if you have a professional document that you want somebody to review, you can send it to our PCA email, which stands for Peer Career Ambassador. These are our student workers that currently work in our office. They are awesome at what they do. They get the same training that I do and us career advisors. And so if you want somebody to review your document, you can definitely send it to us, or you can send it to the PCAs and they will give you feedback on your documents. We also have a career closet next door. I know the Alumni Association has a flyer going out as well. But if you have any professional clothing as an alumni, we appreciate anything that can be donated, because as you know, being a current student, you don't get paid a whole lot with your part-time job or your internship. So it's super helpful to have a closet full of professional clothing that will set students up for success in that interview, in that internship, if they have a conference, a presentation, anything that they may need a professional outfit for. This is an opportunity for you guys to donate further and help the next group of students. We can take anything that's on this list as well, anytime between our office, which is 8 to 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And then here's another QR code to our website. We would love to connect with everybody further. Like I said, I don't take up too much of the time, but those are just resources that we have and offer you all as alumni. If you see fit or you have further questions, we can definitely help you guys further. Now I'm going to pass it along to Jenny, who's going to introduce our panelist.
Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Bryan, and I'm the Assistant Director in the Career Development Center that is focused on employer relations. So I say that I recruit the recruiters. I have the opportunity to facilitate connections between companies that have internship and job opportunities and our students that are seeking them. And we also love to work with companies that need help sort of tapping into the campus if they have recruitment needs that are unfulfilled. We love to have those conversations, so feel free to reach out to me if I can help you in that way. As you heard from Ayla, our team in the Career Development Center is deeply committed to helping our students and alumni find meaningful career paths. But our work would not be possible without the employer partners that we have. And in particular, I'm so excited to highlight 2 of those today, both Enterprise, Mobility, and Ascend Federal Credit Union. We have deep, robust, long-standing partnerships with these folks, and 2 of the representatives here today, Maddie and Tosha, are the folks that we tap all the time. We are having them in the classrooms to speak. We're asking them to coach our students in mock interviews and networking sessions. They just consistently show up. They go above and beyond in supporting our student success efforts. And so we're so deeply grateful for all that they teach us and our students about networking in their industries. They really truly open the doors to the professional world for our students. And it's particularly important because they are alumni of the institution. So in a really tangible way, students are able to identify with where they've come from and see themselves attaining those opportunities as well. And as a testament to the power of networks, our third panelist today is one that Tosha from Ascend graciously introduced me to, Derria from Martha O'Brien Center. And it became evident to me on our first meeting why Derria was the perfect person to sort of round out this panel. She is the Chief Development Officer for the Martha O'Brien Center. So I know that she's got lots to say about the value of networks in her work. She's a two-time MT alum as well. So I'm so grateful for these ladies stepping up, answering our call, as they always do. And now that Derria's been asked this time, she doesn't know yet, but she's on my must call list from now on. But we're gonna let them tell a little bit more about themselves and the role that networking has in their work. So Tosha, if we could just start with you, maybe if you'll just kind of give us an overview of what your role entails and maybe share a nugget about how you approach making new connections, and then we'll jump to Maddie and then Derria.
Sure. So again, my name is Tosha Price. I'm with Ascend Federal Credit Union. I am their business development manager. And I would say that everything that I do and everyone at the credit union does is all about networking and relationship building. We, in the simplest form, our mission is to serve. And so I have learned in any type of network setting, if I lead with a giving heart, then it just ends up coming back to me personally and professionally and the credit union tenfold. And so I will say that that's probably the bread and butter of everything that I do, because you can make connections internally and externally to benefit the credit union overall.
And I am Derria Ford, and I work for Martha O'Brien Center in the nonprofit space. And nonprofit, whether it's raising funds or finding resources for those in the community, you are always networking, trying to connect people. And so that could be connecting people to the mission of the organization so that they can make a philanthropic gift, or that could be connecting organizations to the work so that we can help more people in the community. So I think there's multiple ways that I see networking in my work.
I'm Maddie Morgan, HR Generalist with Enterprise Mobility here in Middle Tennessee. Networking definitely plays a role as far as recruiting top talent. We are an internal promotion company, so connecting internally to create opportunities not only for my employees, but for myself also. And then my own professional development, having a formal mentorship program and a mentor within my organization as well. So happy to be here with you guys today.
Thank you all so much for being here and for introducing yourselves. My name is Victoria, I'm a career advisor. I'm going to kind of like MC the Q&A component of this presentation. For those in the chat, please feel free to drop questions. We want this to be helpful for you. And so we have some questions prepared, but I think this is going to be more beneficial if you let us know what you want to learn. And so feel free to use the chat or the Q&A feature, and we will navigate that. So I'm just going to start with a chat or a question that came through the chat. Thank you so much for asking that. Maybe that's for the Career Center. Do we assist with graduates out of state? I think the employers would likely say absolutely to that out of state. And maybe you can speak to that more directly. For the Career Center, we absolutely do, though. Yes. I guess maybe do you all have employers? Do you all have thoughts about kind of networking with the university or with organizations and like trying to get jobs in different states?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Enterprise is all over the world, so absolutely happy to connect people. I have all the HR contacts across the company, so I'm happy to, meet people and help them throughout their own career as well. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And thank you for starting us off. The next question that I have prepared here, we talk a lot with students and recent graduates about the transactional nature that networking can kind of feel like, and wanting to know how to do it in a more genuine way. And so my question is, particularly for new graduates, but also just generally, how can they make networking feel more genuine and less transactional?
I can take that one. I would just say to lead with listening. I try to do this more. I feel like when you're in a networking setting, it's already nerve-wracking to begin with for anybody and everybody, right? But when you're in that networking setting and you meet someone, one question that I like to ask is, what's something exciting that you're working about, that you're working on right now? And then that opens the door and you start building that relationship, and then you just got to listen, right? And then it leads to more relationship building versus that transactional piece of it. And then also the follow up too, right? It helps with the follow up. So, yes, I have this business card, but they also told me something amazing that they're working on currently that they're excited about, right? And so, me sending a quick message after I meet them a day or two later and saying, hey, it was such a pleasure meeting you at XYZ event, right? Um, I loved learning about what you're working on, and I can't wait to see how it comes to fruition. Let me know if I can be of any service in the future. And again, leading with that giving heart. I think that if you lead with those little nuggets, then it makes it very relationship building and less transactional, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say the one thing that you have to do is just get out of your own mind, because you'll start thinking like, I have nothing in relationship to any of these people. And so I think that to think the opposite and figure out what are the things that you could have in common. And then you could also follow up and say, like, I really enjoy talking about like our daughters and what school they go to. I think that's great. But I think trying to find where the common ground is, and every relationship starts out transactional and develops into something else, So I just think getting out of your mind and just saying, you know what, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to make a goal, I'm going to talk to however many people if it's a networking event, and really just work in the room. And there are going to be people you walk away and love, and there are going to be people where you're like, that was really awkward. But accepting it and owning it, that's just the space you're in.
And
I
I would
have a
say
question.
stop your brain too. I was just going to say stop your brain too, because your brain is automatically going to go to what's my response going to be. So just slow down. And that way you give your mind and your brain space to catch up and actually listen and take in what they're telling you. Because then you're going to remember them too. Because like she said, there's a lot of those interactions that start off kind of awkward. Right. And then I see them at another event and it makes it less awkward. The Lord put me and Derria together several times before now I would consider her a friend, right? But we met it in a networking space and it just developed into this great friendship that I am very fond of now. But Ayla, sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I was just going to ask, what are some things, because we meet with a lot of students who are like, where do I even start? Like, how do you, what are some things I need to know before I go in? So if you guys could just elaborate more of how do you start when you walk into a networking event or an event that you don't know anybody at? What are some things that you do to help prepare for that?
I think one of the most important things is going in with your purpose and your intention. Are you wanting a job? Start there. Are you wanting to just meet people? Are you wanting to meet people in the same industry, or are you wanting to meet people in the same realm of expertise? For instance, do I want to meet people in the auto industry, or do I want to meet people in human resources? And I think going in with that intention and purpose is going to help kind of navigate some of those conversations.
I think so.
Go
I mean,
ahead.
it depends on the event, but I do work in the fund development space. So my work is going to call for research. So I might research if I know if other people are going to be there. I might cruise the list like, oh my, if I was looking for a job, for example, oh man, so and so is the HR recruiter at this place, I am going to find them. So you could be that intentional, or it depends on your goal. Or you could just be like, I want to meet more people. I might be looking for a mentor, so I'm going in here to find someone that could potentially be a mentor to me. So I think just asking yourself, what is my intention? Why am I going here? Would be a good first step. And I think you can't forget the people that are in your locus of control. And so some of the best relationships that I had over the years were like really knowing my professors, because they led me to other places. And I still talk to a lot of them now. So, I mean, that's networking in a way that could really help you get to the next step. So for a new graduate, talking, talking after, telling people what your goals are, what your aspirations are. I mean, I think that really helps because they'll lead you. You should talk to so and so. Oh, I should. Would you make that introduction for me? I think those things are helpful.
Well, I think too, and knowing the setting that you're in too, because in each community that we all live or work in, there are so many different organizations that you can be a part of. And so, again, knowing the goal of plugging into that organization and their events, what are you trying to get out of that, right? So, we were several of us were at Rutherford Cable yesterday, and that's a women's professional organization. So I go into that, yes, to make connections, but there's also a professional development aspect. So I know what I'm trying to get out of that organization. And if you know what you're looking for, then it helps you determine which organizations you can plug into and which events are going to make the most benefit to you from a career standpoint.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. So this next one is a little bit of a projection, but I also hear this a lot from students. I'm introverted. I work with a lot of students who kind of self-identify as introverted or shy or awkward or kind of, the list. And networking feels like an attack and not an opportunity. And so I'm curious if any of you kind of experienced that. And I'm also curious if you have any thoughts about how to navigate the networking space when you're specifically challenged with feeling like, oh, this is outside of my comfort zone and how I normally interact with people.
I always go in with a goal of meeting 2 to 3 new people, and I would say that most people that meet me think that I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually more an introvert extrovert, if that makes sense. There's no event or organization that I come to be a part of that I'm not nervous about plugging in the first time. And so for me, most people, and if you're a friend of mine, you probably heard me say this, but nervousness and anxiety is the same feeling of excitement. And so I kind of trick my brain before I go into any type of setting or public speaking, where I literally tell myself, I am so excited to network at this event. I am so excited to speak. I will say, too, that any organization that you plug into, I know I was telling my table yesterday this, find the committees that you can plug into that are a part of that organization, because then it makes those big events less intimidating for an introvert. So, again, I'll reference Rutherford Cable because a lot of us were there yesterday. So I started plugging into committees, and the best analogy that I've ever come up with is those are like the small group, and then that big event's like the big church, right? So you go in with those more intimate connections that you've made within the committee, so that big setting doesn't seem as intimidating.
I think too, like just speaking back to saying I will go into this event, I will speak to 5 people, I will tell them who I am, where I'm from, what I'm looking for, just being like very intentional helps because otherwise you'll go in the corner and you won't say a thing and meet anybody. And so, I mean, you just have to learn how to talk, like start small talk. And so, I mean, it could be over the snacks. Oh, these snacks look so good. What do you think about the snacks? It's great. Or where are you from? Oh man, have a friend from there. I mean, and just start going into that conversation. So just having a few questions, if it's awkward for you, that you'll ask people anyway, will help you. I mean, it might be scripted until it becomes more natural. And just remember, everybody else feels awkward too. You're not alone. So I think, keeping that if you're going to like networking events, all people kind of have the general feeling like, man, I got to go in here and really network and talk to people. So I just think getting out of your head is very important.
Yeah, it's definitely important to get involved. So when you recognize that importance, find somebody that's going to help hold you accountable. Like maybe it's a friend that is going to drive you there. Maybe it's a friend that is also going to attend the event and is maybe also introverted. Hold each other accountable, go together. Maybe find a table that has a lot of people around it, and maybe you can just kind of slither in, say, hey, is it okay if I join you? Let them talk and see if something natural comes and you can respond. If not, hey guys, I'm gonna go grab another refreshment. It was so nice to meet you. Pop right on out of that table. I think that's important too, to just, if the conversation's not flowing, then it's okay to kind of end that conversation and move on to the next table. So I think also, if you're naturally introverted, maybe you might be good at researching and analyzing. So maybe you just find out who all is going to be there, do your research. That's going to help mitigate some of those nerves too, when you know maybe a little bit about the person or how to initiate that conversation with them.
And I
I'll
also
just add
think,
to that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I also think just remembering that we're more alike than we are different.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that just kind of plays with that head talk. Like, I'm not that different from everybody else in the room. We all want some of the same things. Let's just figure out what they are and start talking about them.
There you go.
Well, and to add on what Maddie said, also utilize your significant other spouse. I can't tell you how many things that I drag my husband with me to.
That's me for
Because
my husband. He
because then
takes me
you
to be
have
the
that
social.
familiar person with you, and it doesn't make the setting so intimidating if you're tackling it with a friend or, a coworker or even your spouse that you're the most comfortable with. So I would say lean on them too.
Yes.
Fantastic advice. I call my partner my emotional support extrovert. That is their role in my life. Thank you all so much for the great advice so far. I'd love to hear about networking mistakes because I think a lot of times all of us, if not, or most of us, if not all of us, will kind of get in this space and we'll have good intentions. And then maybe we make a flub and it doesn't feel the best. So love to hear if you all have experienced that and then what you learned from it and how you grew to do the next one.
I'll start. I would just say that I would say the mistake that I make that's the most embarrassing is miss saying someone's name. And it happens, and I've done that a couple of times. Like, you think I think in my head, oh yeah, that's John, right? But then his name's Josh. And he's like, actually, it's Josh, right? And we're all going to make mistakes in networking. And it takes us some time to remember how to what someone's name is in general or how to say it correctly, right? But again, to the points that have been made, we are all human. We're all going to make mistakes. And so just not, I guess, dwelling on the fact that you made a mistake and just owning it and then just moving forward, I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. John, I know that now going forward, right? And so just make sure that you don't dwell on the mistakes that's made in a networking setting, but just move on from it.
I think another thing that like you're going to meet so many different people. You don't have to connect with every single person on LinkedIn. You don't have to reach out, follow up from their business card. You don't even have to take everybody's business card. Like really truly form a connection. And if you feel like it could add value to you, at that point, make sure you do the follow up. But if it's not going to add value, don't waste your time and don't be connecting with everybody on LinkedIn like me.
Amazing. Thank you. A little tip that a mentor gave me a long time ago with names, because I really like that point, Tosha, is to not guess and ask instead. Can you teach me how to pronounce your name? So a little tidbit that might be
Well,
helpful for those.
and me and my husband use this strategy. He knows, and you guys will probably laugh at this, but if someone comes up and they know my name and I look at him first and I say, hey, this is my husband Randy, then he knows I don't remember their name. And so he'll say, hey, my name is Randy, what is your name? And then that way we uncover what that person's name is, because I feel bad that I forgot and they remember me. So it's a little strategy that me and my husband use if anyone wants to
Yes,
use
love
that
it.
in the future.
Oh, that's a good one. Mine, most people don't, or they know some portion of my name and kind of forget it. And so I don't always feel obligated to like say people's name, but I do remember faces. So I always say, it's so good to see you. And people will say the same about me. And so, and then we'll move on. And I'll say, remind me of your name again. I'm like, I think I forgot if I don't remember it. And so I just tell them, and move on.
Also, it's saying it's so good to see you takes away if you've ever met them before or not. They don't know. It's so good to see you, whether I've met you 100 times or this is the first time. And then they don't know if you don't remember.
I love these strategies. Thanks, y'all. We have a question in the chat from Amber Miller. Thank you for asking, Amber. I've been to conferences or other events where I've had a good conversation, but after the event, that connection comes to an end. So can you all talk about maintaining those connections after events?
I
So
think, oh, I was going to say, I think that if you met people and you should have a cadence, like of how often you touch base, or if you're on LinkedIn following them and commenting them. I think you have to create times where you're connected with them, or ask for a meeting, or ask to follow up, or collaborate on something. I mean, you just have to be intentional about keeping up with those folks. And so I do that either through, like, let's say I went to a conference and met people, and I'm like, oh, you remember you had a really good monthly giving program. Like, let's get together and talk about it, or something like that. I mean, you just have to be intentional.
Well, and I was going to say for me, anyone that I meet and connect with, I always send them an email so they have my full contact information because business cards get lost, right? And I say, hey, it was so great to meet you. I'll add something personal in there. Let me know if me or the credit union can ever be of any assistance, and leave it at that, right? And then, I might follow up too if we've had a really good conversation, and ask for that meeting. Hey, I'd love to get to know more about you or more about the company that you work for. Would you like to connect for coffee or virtual meeting? Your preference. Happy to meet you wherever you'd like, right? And then also to Maddie's point, connecting with them on LinkedIn too. That way they have two different touch points, and it helps them to remember me and me to remember them.
Yeah, I just my real world example of this is I interviewed with an HR manager in a different part of our company, and I didn't get the position, but I really enjoyed getting to know her and ultimately would love to work for her one day. So I still do a quarterly call with her every couple of months, and we get on a Teams call and we just chat for 30 minutes. Sometimes it's not even about work. But it's just on our calendars, and then it's a nice surprise when it pops up. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a call with Heather today. So that's also, if it's going to add value to you and you feel like it's important, make it happen. Be assertive. Don't be scared.
And I would say too that, especially from a conference standpoint, that there is the beautiful thing of virtual meetings now, and so I wouldn't say that it ever feels impersonal when I connect with someone via Teams or we go to coffee. It's the same feeling that I get either or. So utilizing that as an option to just connect and learn more about someone doesn't take anything but 30 minutes, and you can meet them where they're at.
Amazing. Thank you all. We've talked about LinkedIn a few times, so I want to kind of put that in the light now. Would love to hear if you all utilize LinkedIn, particularly when you're not job searching, because I think we teach students and alumni a lot. Like, the online networking space is LinkedIn. I'd love to hear how you use it for networking as well, and how it differs from networking in person.
I will say, I had shared with this group that my son's almost 2, and before I had my son, there was a comment that was made to me in a networking setting, and they were like, "Tasha, you were always everywhere, but no one knows you were ever there, right? Outside of the people that you met that day, right?" And so I have tried very much to be intentional about sharing on LinkedIn. And so I would say that if you're going to use LinkedIn to get to know people and from a networking perspective, share and post, because I cannot tell you, since I got back from maternity leave, how many times I have heard, "Gosh, Tasha, you are everywhere. Oh, you are like the LinkedIn expert. Oh, I love to see that." And even if they never liked it, they saw it and they noticed it on my feed, right? And I have gotten so much positive feedback since I've been more intentional about that. Again, even if they've not even liked the post, of, "Hey, I need to get better about that like you are." And so I would say be active on LinkedIn if you're going to use that from a networking standpoint. And then make sure that you don't just connect with them via phone or email, but that you connect with them on LinkedIn too. I try to be intentional about that. And then also celebrate people on LinkedIn too. I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten event invitations just because they're like, "Hey, I know that you're in the networking space, that you do this a lot. I would love to have you come to this event." Just from me sharing an event that they're chairing and they're helping fundraise for, or some type of webinar that they're doing, it gets it out into my sphere of influence, but then also gets them to notice me too. So that would be my advice on LinkedIn.
I would say LinkedIn is professional. Keep it professional. That is one mistake that I feel like I have seen on LinkedIn as well. The other thing is, like, you don't have to have your own thoughts if you are interested in an article, and just share it. To Tasha's point, like, just share it. Like, you don't have to go out and put all your own business and your own words on there. Just share an interesting article that might be relevant to what you're interested in and might find what other people are interested in as well.
I think it's a good way because now a lot of people will look you up on LinkedIn, and it's a good way for people to know you, know your values, know who you are, what you're interested in, to the point that you want them to. And so I think you can almost use it as a walking resume. And so you can use it in that way. And then if people engage, like I post about different things, if they engage with my content, I know they're interested in those things as well. So you can do some follow up. So you can use it to kind of spider out to enlarge your network.
Amazing, thank you. Have a couple questions in the chat. Dawn, it's great to see you here. Dawn asks, is it too forward to ask people you recently networked with for their interest in participating in a mutually beneficial collaboration?
I wouldn't say so. If you met someone, I can't tell you how many times I've met someone and there's a nonprofit that I volunteer for that they're like, hey, I've really been wanting to get them involved in the work that we do. And I make that connection. And then it just helps them look at me as an expert in the networking space. Right. And so I would say it's never too soon to collaborate. The worst someone's going to tell you is no, but they might just say yes and welcome that opportunity.
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially if there's someone like I've met someone and said, you know what, this sounds great, but this is not for me, but I know the perfect person for you and connected them to someone else. So no, I don't think it's too soon.
Amazing. And Laura asks, besides LinkedIn, what types of platforms are good for networking in a professional way?
I do have some professional organizations that use Facebook. Specifically, they'll make groups for various organizations. And so, from a networking perspective or promotions for the credit union, I have utilized those. But primarily from a professional standpoint, I normally just use LinkedIn. But if you're plugged into some networking group, again, to reference cable, they have a members only group. Murfreesboro Young Professionals, they have a members only group. My Leadership Rutherford group, we have a group. And so those groups can be really good to utilize for different things that you want to get out there. But primarily, I've always used LinkedIn.
Can I ask a follow-up to that, Tosha? I would like all three of you, if you could tell us some of the networks that you're involved in the mid-state area that you have found to be most beneficial. I know it sounds like we're doing, promotion for Rutherford Cable today, but I'm a new member, and it has been fabulous to expand my network in ways that I didn't even expect. So I'm just curious to know, are you involved in some B&I groups, or what have you three each found to be your best place to plug in with new folks?
Well, I would say I plug into various organizations for different things, right? So again, we've touted Rutherford Cable. I have a Leadership Rutherford group. I serve as a diplomat in Rutherford County, and then the new member advisory council for the Nashville Chamber. But then another good place in Nashville is Rotary. There are Rotaries all over the place. Those are a really great place to connect with leaders. So you can always search, no matter where you're at, there are always local organizations, whether it's Kiwanis or Rotary or some type of other organization in your area. See what their values are, right? And see what aligns most with what you're trying to do. But I would say too, to help and volunteer with nonprofits, most nonprofits have some type of need, and they have committees and they have boards, right? And they are always looking for good, active volunteers and board members. And so from a networking standpoint, especially, in looking to grow a SINS business, some of the biggest opportunities have come from me joining a nonprofit board, serving alongside other leaders, and me developing a relationship with them that way. And then it turns out into business later down the road. And so I would say too, look at your nonprofits in your community and what type of fundraising events they have and align with something that speaks to you and your passions.
I think additionally you can look at professional associations. So like I'm a part of the fundraising. I do fundraising. So the fundraising association at one point I was a part of the grant professionals association, the marketing association. I think those are good things to plug into and they're usually everywhere. There's some subgroup that you could be a part of, but those are great ways to network and meet other people in your field and career and to get good mentorship as well.
Yeah, and I am also involved with a lot of nonprofit organizations, which does, like Tosha said, lead to business oftentimes. But I regularly, as a member of our philanthropy committee, work with Ronald McDonald House, Make-A-Wish, the Jason Foundation, Room in the Inn in Nashville. I'm in different organizations like that.
Amazing. Mentorship was brought up, so I'd love to focus there a little bit too. How important is mentorship in networking? And then how do you find a mentor? And once you find someone that you want to be your mentor, how do you navigate like asking for that?
So, a lot of organizations that I'm a part of, so like Murfreesboro Young Professionals, Rutherford Cable, Nashville Cable, they have a mentorship program. And a lot of times, if you're a member, it's no cost. So I've participated in those throughout my career. And still, even after the program is over, I still have connections with those mentors, and our relationship continues past the set program. So that's a good place to get some type of mentorship. Really look at your career too and the networks and organizations that you're a part of and see who do I find inspiring, right? And just do the ask. They're going to be honored that you ask them, and if they have the capacity, they'll say yes. And then another point that I'll say too, as a speaker at a networking event, told me about building a personal board of directors one time, where they don't necessarily know that they're part of my personal board of directors, but who in my life do I look at as the connector? Who do I look at in my life as encouragement, right? And so, really having those within a professional network standpoint that are my personal board of directors, that if I need something in one of those leadership development or encouragement or a connector area that I can call upon, and that develops that mentorship as well.
I think that I giggle because I'll sit there and say, okay, here's the issue. I don't know how to solve it. Who am I calling? And I'm going, nope, nope, nope. That wouldn't be the person. This is the best person for that. Hey, you got time for a conversation? I got some money to work through. So I kind of giggle because that's what I do. But I think when I was in school, one thing that I did well is really utilize those professors as mentors. That is the reason why I have a master's in business today, is because we were sitting down having a conversation about my life. And I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? The economy is horrible. And I mean, it was a recommendation of someone who I call a mentor that said, hey, why don't you consider this path? And so I think just being upfront, saying, hey, I just need a little help. And people often feel honored to do that. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I'm thankful to work for a company that has a formal mentorship program. So I do have a mentor in another state, but also in our HR department. So I think, again, kind of to my point earlier, do you want somebody in your expertise or do you want somebody in your industry? So I'm thankful that he's both for me, but either way, I think just knowing what's important to you and the time frame that you would want them to be committed to and just being upfront and asking them.
Amazing. Thank you. I want to put another plug out to the folks in the listening. If you all have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. My next question for you all is, can you talk about networking events? How do they work? I know we've kind of alluded to some of that in the beginning, but if someone's never done that before, what can they expect?
I
So I'll
think
say
it does all
no, go
start
ahead.
with, oh,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say it does all start with being prepared. So know who you're going to meet, what companies are going to be there, what your purpose is with going into it, seeing what kind of research you can do prior.
Yeah. And I think it
Tosha.
depends. Some are more intentional, like you come in and they're going to help you network. Some are just gathering and it's your responsibility to network. And so I just think being prepared for whatever it is, because it could also be awkward if you go in and they're like, I'm going to pair you with this person. You just must talk to them. So just preparing your mind before you get there and doing as much research as you can. If it's a historical event, like what normally happens at the event, or just being prepared to come in and introduce yourself, like making that list of 5 people that you're going to walk around and meet.
Yeah, I will say, again, tout that research piece because it's going to call out in the event details if it's, just kind of a casual networking where you're going to walk in, check in at the registration table, and go into an open room of people. Or it's going to call out if it's a speed networking where, again, to the point you're going to be paired and just go through a line, right? And be paired one on one with people to network. Um, for other networking events, is there a professional development aspect? What's the agenda for that? A lot of times that's going to be either in the details of the event that you're signing up for, or a lot of them will send a know before you go email that I truly appreciate that tells me, what's the attire, right? What's the agenda look like? When is the open networking? I will say if you're an introvert, do not look at that agenda and say, oh, registration and open networking is from 11 to 11:30. So I'm just going to get there right before 11:30. So I just see the program. Remember that you're going to network, right? You get the most benefit out of building relationships. So be intentional and get there and push yourself out of your comfort zone because I tell, individuals all the time at the credit union, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. No one is 100% comfortable all the time. But the more that you do it, the more you will get acclimated to it, more comfortable with it.
One thing I tell students, it's kind of like a Band-Aid, right? Like you rip off a Band-Aid, it'll hurt for just a second and then it goes away. I'm like, that's just like a networking event. It's going to be awkward, right? Expect, things you're going to ramble a little bit, go on and on. But after it's done, you're glad that you did it and you can move on to the next. So.
I was going to jump on and say, since you mentioned speed networking events, Tosha, I've experienced more structured ones where, as Tosha described, you sit down across from someone and at the bell time, you move over to the next one. And I found a lot of benefit in those because, my little introverted heart felt like, okay, I know what the plan is. I know what I'm doing. And for 3 minutes or whatever we had, we were each looking for what is the connection between us, and I come away with so many great experiences and connections with those. On the flip side, I've gone to speed networking events that are not structured. It's just you step into an open room and it feels like a free for all. People's eyes are cutting behind you to figure out who they're going to talk to next when the bell rings. And no one's really listening. You can't hear, and so anyway, if you can find out the structure, again, as an introvert who plays an extrovert on TV, that's knowing the structure really does help me to get my mindset right and to avoid ones that I don't think are going to be fruitful for those reasons.
When you spend a minute or two with somebody and you're just not getting the vibe, it's okay to end that conversation, walk away, start with the next table, and move your way around when you're at different networking events too. Don't feel like you have to carry on a conversation. And again, to the introvert point, give yourself a time frame. Like, hey, I'm going to spend 45 minutes at this networking event, and then I'm going to dip out. I'm going to go home and watch my TV show in my bed. That's okay too. Like, give yourself a goal to work towards, and just be in the moment at the time.
Amazing. Some great strategies. Thanks, y'all. We talk to students and recent graduates a lot about using networking as a job searching strategy as well, because we all know that a lot of jobs, I think the statistic is 80% of jobs, are obtained through some form of networking. And so some of the feedback that I've heard in the past is I don't know how to do that in a competitive field, or I don't know how to stand out amongst other people who are also using networking as a job searching strategy. And so I'd love to hear if y'all have thoughts or strategies related to that.
I would say look at who you're already. Say you have XYZ company that you really want to work at. They have a job that's open. Reach out to the connections that you have existing at that company, even if you haven't talked to them in a long time. Because in the job market that we are all in right now, so much of it is automated. And if you don't hit those certain keywords within your resume, then you don't even get the chance to be in front of them for an interview. But I mean, I have people, last week, someone from high school that I haven't talked to in over 10 years, she said, "Hey, I know it's been a while, but I applied at Ascend. Um, do you mind, pinging HR and sending a referral for me?" And I loved her in high school. So I was like, absolutely. But if she would have never pinged me, then she wouldn't have that extra piece that pinged HR to get her that interview potentially. Right. And so I think don't be scared to lean on your network that's existing. And just ask them again, like I said before, the worst that someone's going to tell you is no, right? And then maybe just try to connect with someone at that company if you don't have an existing connection, and try to see what type of things that they're plugged into, right? What events do they support? What nonprofits do they support? Where do they go and what do they plug into? And then try to get in those same situations, those same settings to build that relationship, build that connection.
Yes,
Okay,
and
well,
when you take,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Derria.
Go ahead,
When
Maddie.
you take advantage of the opportunities that you have, and you see these people more and more and more, because you've taken the opportunity to be in front of them, you're also increasing those chances of standing out. For instance, for when I got my job at Enterprise, it's because Enterprise was at every single event, and I was going to every single event in hopes to find a job after college. And so I would run into the same talent acquisition manager over and over and over and over. And it ultimately did lead to our connection and me getting the interview, getting in the door.
Yeah, I was talking to a group of friends that's, been in the workforce for a while. And I really talked about, I mean, it was a couple weeks ago about the importance of LinkedIn. And there are recruiters that they're on there all day long. And a lot of them were saying, I just ignore them. I don't talk to them. And I'm like, talk to them. It's the perfect time to say, what are you looking for? I have a friend over here, but let me tell you what I'm looking for in case an opportunity comes up that you know about. You can refer me. And so I still think, using that LinkedIn profile and navigating those recruiters is helpful in addition to all the other things that you may do. But I've really found that to be a good strategy, and I've helped people find some good jobs that way. But those recruiters come back every time. Hey, would you consider this? Are you thinking about this? And so I think that's a good way to network as well.
I think we have time for one more question.
Amazing. Maybe a great one to end us out with would be if you have a piece of advice that you wish you had received when you were a young alumni or recent graduate, or just really any advice that you'd like to share to end us out today.
I'd say to just lead with confidence and a giving heart. I feel like too much when I was a young professional, fresh out, I was like, oh, I've got to get as many business cards as I can. I got to meet as many people as I can. And I didn't focus on that relationship building aspect. But if you go into any network setting and you tell yourself and get out of your mind and say, hey, I am excited to do this. I'm excited for who I'm going to connect with today. And then you lead with not what can I give them, but what can I do for them, and lead with that giving heart, you will get so much out of networking and relationship building.
I think for me, it's that we're all human. We've all made mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. It's okay to be nervous in an interview, but the reality is that the person that you're sitting across from at the table was also probably nervous when they graduated college and had to start interviewing too, or whatever their timeline is. And I think that it's important to remember that we're all human, and we all just want to feel connected and valued, and search for that and keep close to your morals, and the right opportunity will come.
Yeah, I would say be intentional and just start. Like there's no perfect way. It will be awkward. Just start, and then any space you're in, use it as an opportunity to get to know people better. That just helps you to build relationships. So wherever you're working, get to know the people around you because they know more people and it just expands your network. So start small and then maybe you can move into better spaces.
Amazing. Well, Tosha, Derria, and Maddie, thank you so, so much for taking the time. This has been a really, really great conversation. So thank you. And Rachel, I'll pass
Thank you.
it back to
Thank you for having us.
Yes, I
Thank
want to
you.
say thank you to Tasha Price, Derria Ford, Maddie Morgan. Thank you so much. I always say it, we have the best alumni ever. And Jenny, Victoria,
It's
Ayla,
true.
you guys are all doing great work. Thank you for everything you do at the Career Development Center. Thank you for setting this up. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. This webinar has been recorded, so I will send the link to everybody who has registered. Don't forget, the Alumni Spring Showcase is going on right now. Go to mtalumni.com, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you on campus. So you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank
Thank you.
you.